freshman year of high school, 2009 gym class. Last period, we had a substitute gym teacher wear the stormiest days of the year. He was an older man, not a senior citizen, but gray, maybe 55 to 60. He took attendance when he passed me. He did a double take at me, which I found a bit uncomfortable, not to float my own boat. But I always understood I looked older and really good for a freshman in high school. The sub told us to get into our volleyball teams, and he disappeared into the hall by the locker rooms for a while. 40 minutes went by, and the period was over. It was time for us to get changed and go home. I got into the locker room, that for some reason my locker wasn't opening. I tried my usual combination over and over and over. It wouldn't click open though. I had to go to the sub and let him know to ask for my combination again. I figured maybe the combo just slipped from my mind. For some reason, the sub told me to give him a few minutes, and he'd get the list of locker combos. I waited outside the office, and out he finally came with a book in his hands. Open to a specific page, he walked into the girls' locker room with me, which I didn't expect him to do. The locker room was basically empty now, with one girl finishing up. Changing, he walked over to my locker and tried the combination written down on the paper. It didn't work. No matter how many times he tried it, each time he tried it and failed. He would look at me and laugh. I would force myself to laugh along to be polite when it started getting weird. Put his hand on my shoulder as he said, "We'll figure this out." He tried the combination again with his hand still on my shoulder, and it didn't work again. I felt his hand slowly started inching down from my shoulder to my lower back. I pushed myself away and grabbed my bag, saying, "It's okay. I'm late for my bus." He tried to combo in the locker one more time, and it opened. He smiled and walked away. I waited till I heard the locker room door shut, and I proceeded to getting changed quickly, when suddenly the room went dark. I finished pulling up my pants and shoved my locker in the dark. I threw on my backpack and started walking to the back exit of the locker room, which led outside. I feared that the sub would be waiting right by the door for me. I got predatory vibes from him. When I got to the end of that specific aisle of lockers I was in the intersection of two rows. I'd have to turn down left to get to the exit door. But still, naturally, I had to look right to make sure that it was clear. There was a little light seeping in from one single rectangular window that sat under the ceiling. It was enough for me to see him peeking at me from around the wall of lockers. So that's when I ran for the exit door. He came over behind me saying, wait, it's not what it looks like." I ran outside into the rain off the campus of the high school and walked the rest of the way home, giving me time to reflect on what happened. By the time I got home soaking wet, it came to me that he most likely changed my locker combination somehow. As a way of getting alone with me, locker room, as for what he could have possibly been planning to do when he cut the lights, I never wanted to imagine. Honestly, I was too emotionally scared and, quite frankly, embarrassed to tell anyone about it. Not even my parents were friends. It was something I just kept to myself all these years. Because, truthfully, I just don't feel comfortable telling people. One night, my friends and I hatched a genius plan. We'd sneak into the high school basement through one of the windows. I was broken and never fix the thing about this window. You'd have to hop a short metal gate surrounding the outside staircase leading to the basement. Not that it would effectively stop anyone, but it added that extra barrier that makes you feel like you're really doing something devious when you crossed over it. We made sure there weren't any security cars anywhere nearby, and hop the gate crawling in through the window proved difficult, considering we had to boost ourselves up, then crawl through an insanely skinny opening. But once we were in, we kind of dispersed from each other to explore different areas. One thing was, for sure, the basement of the school was a mess, and anything but interesting. There was little light. One small white light was on in a far corner. and the exit sign light actually produced more light than you'd think I was looking around. When I saw one of my friends in front of me, he whispered, "Let's go upstairs," so I followed him upstairs, and he opened the door up to the main hallway of the school. Everything was dark. I always thought there were at least some lights left on in the school at night, but no, not a single light was on, and all that really stood out as far as the eye could see were the various exit signs glowing red. I followed my friend down the hall and remembered saying, "Dude, this is really creepy," and he replied back. But I realized he was right. Who knew if somebody else could be in the building besides my friends? And little did I know just yet. I followed my friends at the bathroom, and he went into one of the stalls. I whispered, "Hurry up." I waited for a while, then my phone started to ring. I picked up, and it was one of my friends, Chris. He asked, "Where the hell did you go?" I set him upstairs with either Roland or Brandon. He said, "What do you mean?" "They're with me," and right after both Brendan and Roland said hi, apparently on speakerphone, I stuttered the word "I" and stopped trying to think straight. Then there was a laughing coming from installed, not the laugh of any of my friends. I looked up at the stall. There was someone looking over it at me, probably standing on the toilet. I screamed "holy" over and over into the phone as I left the bathroom shortly after I was out. I heard the stall door slam shut. I tried to run back to the basement in the dark, but it wasn't too easy to find in the dark. Luckily, I managed to find it, so I started to scream their names. As I ran down the stairs, I screamed "Go-Go" when they answered, and we one by one jumped off some kind of bucket onto the window ledge and crawled back outside. I was the first one out, though, afraid that person from the bathroom was following when we were all outside. I explained to them out of breath, while also laughing now that I felt safe with all of them next to me. I guess we were loud or something, though, because as we all just started looking around at the whole school building and all the classroom windows, in one of the downstairs windows was someone with their hands pressed up on the glass. He could only see maybe half their face. I said, "That's got to be him," as Roland ushered us to get the hell out of there. We ran until we were off the premises of the school, and that we came up with a lot of possible explanations, but none of them really made sense. Obviously, we never did anything like that again, though. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more weekly horror. On screen now is the most recent upload and the most viewed story on the channel. Pick your next one carefully, and remember, some stories are better not listened to alone.